So, on today's topic, where do I start? Whenever I meet people and I tell them that I'm a nutrition coach, they start telling me about their habits and how do I quit snacking at night and how do I do this and how do I do that? And so, usually I say, maybe you should pay me to coach you. But I might offer them a few tidbits. So, in thinking about this webinar, a lot of people have told me that the pandemic upended a lot of their healthy habits. Gyms were closed, and also, we were home a lot more, and so people said, "I'm snacking so much, and I'm drinking alcohol, I'm gaining weight." And so I have worked with a lot of people over the last year and a half on solidifying their healthy habits. And so I wanted to share today, not weight loss strategies, because diets don't work in the long run. Lifestyle change and habit change is what works. And I wanted to share some healthy habits that are about living a bountiful life, that are proven by research, and that are health promoting behaviors, whether your goals are to lower your blood pressure or to lose some fat or to gain muscle. All of these things are important for all of my clients, no matter what their goals are. So maybe you've already learned a little bit about what doesn't work. You set a New Year's resolution to go to the gym. You go for 2 weeks, you push really hard, you get sore, you pull a muscle, you stop going. And, the research shows that most people 6 weeks into the new year have dropped their New Year's resolution to get in better shape. Or maybe you try the latest fad diet, intermittent fasting or keto or something, and you're hardcore, it lasts a few weeks, and then you go out of town on a work trip and you end up face first in a pizza, and you say, oh gosh, that low carb diet is out the window, and you never go back. And then you try something else a few months later, maybe. Or maybe just the pandemic threw you for a loop. So the biggest thing that I think doesn't work for people is that we try to change everything at once, and we think that we have to do it perfectly. So all or nothing thinking usually gets us nothing. So what I want to share today are 5 S's, the 5 S's of health and longevity, and these are backed by research, healthy habits. So the first one, and I'm going to use my super high-tech index cards here to give these to you because I didn't want to be the voiceover for a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just going to give you some little visual cues. The first one, S1, spinach and sprouts. This habit is eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. A March 2021 study showed mortality decreasing as fruit and vegetable intake increased. You might have guessed that. Eating an average of 5 servings a day was associated with a 13% lower risk of death than eating only 2 servings per day. Beyond 5 servings per day, eating more fruits and vegetables wasn't associated with a further reduction in mortality risk. So 5 is kind of the sweet spot. The lowest risk of mortality was reached at approximately 2 servings per day for fruit and 3 servings per day of vegetables. And on average, US adults eat half of that. So, how do we change that? Habit change strategy number 1. So the 5 habit change strategies I'm going to offer today are the 5 A's, 5 S's of healthy habits and 5 A's of habit change. The first A, add, not subtract. So many diets or eating plans or anything are so focused on what you have to give up, on the negative. Keto, you have to give up bread. Low fat, you have to give up butter. Low carb, you have to give up potatoes. So instead, with my clients, I like to focus on what you can add to your diet, exploring new foods. Adding more fruits and vegetables to your diet will also increase your vitamin and mineral intake, probably increase your energy levels, and crowd out those foods that you say, oh, I wish I wasn't eating all of this snack after dinner. If you're more full on vegetables, you'll just have less room for the junk. Some ways to add variety to your vegetable menu are to visit a local farmer's market or join a local CSA and see what's in season. If you eat out, you can choose more vegetable forward options, like at Chipotle, choosing the salad bowl. In New York City, we have a salad chain called Sweet Green, where you can get a big variety of different salads. Or you can add a side salad to your meal when you're eating out and eat that first. You can also check out recipes on Epicurious and Pinterest. So look for ways that you can add things to your diet instead of subtracting from your diet. This second S, healthy habit, I call it step it up. A 2019 study found that women in their 70s who managed as few as 4,400 steps a day reduced their risk of premature death by about 40%, compared to women completing 2,700 or fewer steps a day. The risks for early death continued to drop among women walking more than 5,000 steps a day, but benefits plateaued at about 7,500 daily steps. So there's a sweet spot in there of 5,000 to 8,000 steps a day where you can significantly reduce your risk of mortality. When I started taking clients after the shutdown, I had them go to their iPhones and look at the Health app, which is already tracking your steps. If you didn't know that, the Health app is a white square and a red heart inside it. If you have an Android, I don't know where to tell you to find your step tracking, but your phone is tracking your steps. And so what I had them do is look at their 2019 numbers and find out how many steps they are having. Most of my pandemic onboarding clients had reduced, maybe without realizing it, their steps by about half of their previous year's daily average. Walking is also a great restorative strategy for stress management and reducing soreness or lower back pain from sitting at a desk all day. So walking can help you feel great. Habit change strategy number 2, as applied to, and I should jump out and say that these habit change strategies could be applied to any habit that you want to change. I'm just demonstrating how to use them for the particular habit that I'm talking about. So habit change strategy number 2, I call the AIM method, or aim high. The A stands for the absolute minimum. So as applied to steps, let's say you decide that your absolute minimum steps a day is 3,000. And then the I stands for ideal. Ideally, maybe you would like to get 8,000 steps and reduce your risk of mortality. And then M stands for the middle. And that's everything in between your absolute minimum and your ideal. And anything in the middle is a win. So if you set your 3,000 to 8,000 goal, give yourself a pat on the back anytime you reach within that goal. This fights all or nothing thinking that if I don't get 8,000 steps, it's not worth getting 5,000 steps, which is absolutely detrimental in so much health promoting behaviors. Ways to get a few more steps: get off the subway 1 or 2 stops early, park at the back of the Walmart parking lot, take the stairs instead of the elevator, walk the dog just an extra block, or take up Pokemon Go. Make up a game, compare your steps to your spouse or your partner or a friend and see who can average the highest daily steps for a month. These are all things that I have tried with my clients just to get their daily steps up. The third S is strength. Do 30 to 60 minutes of resistance training 2 to 3 times a week. What is resistance training? Resistance training is using any type of weight, including body weight, to strengthen your muscles by pushing against it, basically. It doesn't have to be at a gym, it can be at home. A 2006 study published in the American Journal of Medicine found that grip strength is an accurate and consistent predictor of all causes of mortality in middle-aged and elderly persons. And people who do resistance training have better grip strength. Strength training increases bone density in postmenopausal women, as demonstrated in multiple studies. And other benefits include strength, boosts metabolism, decreased abdominal fat, decreased risk of falls, reduced injury risk, heart health, manage blood sugar levels, mobility and flexibility, increased confidence, mood boost, brain health, better quality of life. all documented in multiple studies. Strength training can happen at a gym with a personal trainer, or it can happen in your living room with body weight. On the handout that will go out in your Slack channel after today, which will have some notes from today, I do have a link to my YouTube channel because I have some free home workouts on my YouTube channel. I also teach a Zoom workout every Saturday morning for my clients, and I demonstrate those movements with body weight on a yoga mat in my living room. So resistance training doesn't have to mean joining a gym. It can mean doing some push-ups and some air squats in your living room. My clients who previously did cardio only, like running, report that adding just a few resistance training workouts in their week, resistance bands and push-ups at home, for example, reduces their soreness from running and gives them more energy, among other benefits. So a habit change strategy that we can apply here is from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. So I just call it Atomic Habits. James Clear offers 4 rules of habit making. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So as applied to resistance training, obvious. Join a gym near your home or your work. And make it obvious by blocking out the time in your schedule. A lot of my clients really resist using their scheduling and work skills, like scheduling, planning, preparing. They're great at those things at work and they resist using them at home. But if you have these great superpowers, we call them, that you're great at work, apply that to your personal life. How do you make it attractive? Choose a gym that's clean and not too crowded. Visit after work if you can before you join, because that's when most gyms are the busiest. If you spend a little bit more for a nicer gym, it will increase the likelihood that you'll attend, because either you won't want to waste the money or you'll find a gym that you enjoy. Also find a form of exercise that you enjoy. If you hate running, you'll only force yourself to do it for so long. I have one client who does aerial silks. I have multiple clients who do Peloton. I have some who go to a boutique kettlebell gym. There's no one way to do this. Resistance training comes in many different forms. Make it easy. For some people, this means finding classes at a gym so you don't have to think about what you're going to do when you work out. You can find an app like Precision Nutrition's app, which I coach people through, or Nike Training Club, or Peloton has a great app. And those can take the guesswork out of what to do at the gym. Just turn on a video and get started. YouTube also has a lot of great options, including yoga. Make it satisfying. Look for the rewards. Notice your increased energy. Notice your decreased soreness. Notice that you can carry the groceries to the car easier. If you clue your brain into the ways that your exercise is satisfying, then your brain is more likely to urge you to do it again. The 4th of our 5 S's is savor it. Mindfulness is a big sort of buzzword, for lack of a better word. And the way that I apply mindfulness to eating with my clients is eat slowly until you're satisfied. Slowing down is really hard in this busy life. When we're working at home, we have kids, dogs near us. There's so much. So slowing down for eating is something that makes a huge difference for my clients that they never expected would make a big difference. Eating slowly creates mindfulness, and mindfulness creates awareness around what you're eating. You can tune into the flavors, the textures, and the smells of food. You can actually increase your enjoyment and satisfaction with your meals by paying more attention. Eating slowly also provides important information to the GI tract and gives your satiety hormones time to kick in. It gives you time to send the message to the brain that you're full and you don't need to eat anymore. We stop eating sooner and naturally. And after a couple weeks of eating slowly, most of my clients have lost a few pounds just due to the increased awareness. It also helps with digestion. Our retronasal olfaction, or the smell that comes down the back of our throats, actually sends message to the digestive system to get going. Food is on its way, and our GI tract doesn't get caught off guard. So clients feel better after they eat. Eating slowly sometimes magically cures my indigestion or bloating that my clients have complained of, just because their digestive system is getting better information. It's also that this isn't about controlling what you eat or being on a diet or eating less. Eating slowly, you can do anywhere, at any restaurant, at home, at a friend's house, with any kind of food. So I even encourage my clients to do this with their snacks. Put it in a bowl, sit down, savor it, enjoy it. And even with a binge eating episode, if you're going to eat ice cream, put it in a bowl, sit down, enjoy it. Eating slowly makes the body the boss. You don't have to rely on some rules of some diet. You don't have to rely on somebody else telling you how much to eat. You just listen to your body. So how do we change this habit of eating quickly if that is something that we want to change? I say the fourth A of habit change is acceptance. If you're currently wolfing down your meals in 5 minutes at your desk, or you're watching television and eating dinner in 10 minutes in front of the TV, slowing down and spending 20 to 30 minutes to eat a meal might seem impossible. So step one, gather data without judgment. Time yourself and see how long it's taking you to eat a meal, and then just make a goal of adding a minute per day. A lot of my clients like to put their forks down between bites, take a drink of water between bites, swallow everything before you put more food in your mouth. Step two, focus on the enjoyment. Again, turn your brain on to the positive. Notice the tastes and the textures. Maybe you offer up some gratitude for the pipeline of interaction that brought this food from a field onto your table. And step three, perhaps the most difficult one, I'll call it the level 3 of eating slowly, reduce distractions, close the work computer, set a time on your calendar that is reserved for a meal and for nothing else. What do you notice about your food? What do you notice about your body if you're not paying attention to Facebook or television while you're eating? Once you've increased your awareness of eating, of the speed of your eating, it will be really hard to go back to being unaware of that. You will certainly catch yourself rushing again. My clients all do. I catch myself rushing. But then you can bring yourself back to awareness and work to slow it down. When you eat with other people, are you always the first one done, or are you always the last one done? I like to compare myself and try to be the last one done. I try to be the slow eater. I think that's really healthy. Great. So here we are at the final S, and this is a really big one for most of my clients. I say that the one of the biggest challenge is in nutrition has nothing to do with food and everything to do with food. It's stress management. Allostatic load is the total load of stress living in your body that your body is experiencing. And that is good stress like workouts and bad stress like deadlines and procrastination and family illnesses, all of those things. So our body doesn't recognize different types of stress, good or bad, as different. It still adds them up all together. So managing your daily stress becomes sort of like if you take your trash out, as I think most of us take the trash from the kitchen outside somewhere at some point. If you don't do that on a daily basis or a weekly basis, it starts to build up and it starts to smell. And that's what happens with your allostatic load. You're pushing yourself at the gym and work is stressful right now. And that's when we get sick, because your body at some point gives up on that overload of stress. During the pandemic, a lot of clients told me that their stress from the pandemic plus work from home, plus all of those things was leading them to some unhealthy habits. Like they were closing their workstation and immediately opening a bottle of wine or pouring a cocktail, or they were eating too many snacks because they were home all the time. They picked up new habits for stress management that were unhelpful for their long-term goals. And it makes total sense that we would do that. And then that your body starts craving it because you've created a habit about it. So the tool for habit change that I talk about with stress management is the A of awareness of triggers. And I don't know about you, but there are times when I have finished off a bowl of popcorn or peanut butter filled pretzels or something and didn't even realize I started it. I just launched in without any mindfulness, without any awareness of what I was doing. And so when I talk about triggers, our body learns through reward-based learning. It starts with a trigger, which leads to a behavior, which leads to a reward. So if the trigger is I finish work for the day and breathe a sigh of relief, and the behavior is that I open a bottle of wine, and then the feeling of the wine is the reward, the stress or the anxiety from the workday goes down and I feel better, then my brain will want to do that again. So if you catch yourself in a mindless eating or drinking or an unhealthy habit, look for what is triggering it. What is the thing that is kicking off this habit that you want to get rid of? And you can do one of two things. Once you're aware of the habit loop, you could try to change the trigger or change the behavior. So one of my clients, the trigger was walking in the door from work at the end of the day. And the behavior was sitting down on the couch and turning on the TV and zoning out for a while. And the reward was that that felt pretty good and the stress of the day went away. So he decided that his behavior that should be triggered from coming in the front door would be to take his dog for a long walk. And that would be great for the dog. It would be great for him. And so he's working on using that trigger that was triggering an unhealthy behavior and using it to trigger a healthy behavior. He also put a sign up in his foyer to say, walk the dog, so that when he walked in the door at the end of the day, he had a reminder of the healthy behavior that he wanted to use for the trigger. The other thing you could do, and sometimes may do when you're aware of that trigger, is to choose something else. And for stress management, that might mean finding something that is not food or alcohol that makes you feel better. So maybe you enjoy a walk in the local park, or a walk with your dog. Maybe you enjoy yoga. Maybe you call a friend, or you enjoy meditation. One of my favorites is a coloring book. I find that it calms my mind and just takes me into a Zen place. When I'm experiencing stress, I can turn to my coloring book to calm my mind. Maybe you enjoy making art or music. All of these things reduce our stress responses, lower the allostatic load, lower our heart rate, lower our blood pressure, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, and take us into a calmer place. Then from that calmer place would be a place to make decisions about food or alcohol or snacks, about your nutrition. Sometimes I call this list of stress reducing behaviors my nourishment menu. What will make me feel better that also serves my long-term goals? And when I feel stressed and when I feel the urge to make my stress go away, what healthy behavior that also moves me towards my long-term goals can I choose from my nourishment menu? So there we have it. We've gone over the 5 S's, healthy habits. So let's just review. Spinach and sprouts. Get 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. Step it up. Get 5,000 to 8,000 steps of ambient movement throughout the day. That is non-exercise movement. And strength. Do some form of resistance training 2 to 3 times a week. Start where you are. Savor it. Slow down to enjoy your meals and listen to your body and enjoy it. And the S, stress management, one of the most important things to keep you from making nutrition choices that don't move you towards your goals. The 5 habit change strategies that we talked about: add instead of subtracting, focus on the positive instead of the negative. The AIM method: set your absolute minimum and your ideal, and then give yourself credit for anything that lies in the middle. Atomic habits: make your habits easy, obvious, attractive, and satisfying. Acceptance: start with data, start where you are, and seek progress, not perfection, because there's no perfect way to do this. And finally, awareness of triggers. Notice where you have habitual things that you're doing and look for what is triggering them, and you can short circuit that habit loop. So these are just 5 ideas for habits that you might want to start with that have a payoff and are all backed with research and backed with my personal experience and my clients' experience. But what if you want to work on improving all of these things? What if you say, "Oh gosh, I could do all of that"? Resist the temptation to tackle all of these things at once. My clients succeed because I use the Precision Nutrition 1 habit method. And I work with my clients on 1 habit, like eat slowly, for 2 weeks before we move on to something else. The research shows that if you choose 1 thing to work on, you have a much better chance of success than if you choose 4 things to work on. Maybe, like me, you have made a list of New Year's resolutions, which I stopped doing many years ago because I realized it didn't work. And the longer the list is, the sooner you fall off trying to fix all of those things at once. 2 things you could choose here, if you want to choose one, is choose either the Big Kahuna. The Big Kahuna is the one that could make the biggest difference. If you're not eating any fruits and vegetables, that could make a huge difference. So maybe you want to choose to work on that one first. Or you could choose the low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit is the one that sounds so easy. And when you start with the low-hanging fruit and you make change and you see the results, then you get that, that feeling of pride, like, oh, wow, I did that. And that helps motivate you to continue to make other change when you move on to a different habit. Start with something that is easy and build strings of success so that you use your success as motivation to move you on to the next thing. Finally, practice self-compassion when you mess up. There is no such thing as a perfect diet. And the only way that you can fully mess up your health and nutrition is to quit, to never do anything. So you're going to mess up. You're going to have pizza sometimes. I love a good pizza. You're going to have ice cream sometimes. That doesn't mean eat junk for the rest of the weekend. If you get a crack in your windshield, you don't put a sledgehammer through the windshield. You get the little crack fixed. If you get 1 flat tire, you don't slash all the other tires. So practice self-compassion, start every day fresh, and move on to healthy habits with that forgiveness behind you.